I could do yet another Christmas movie review because those are fun, but I thought I would do something a little different. My top 10 favorite Marvel movies. And I'm not talking about movies that are about Marvel characters associated with them that came out years beforehand or even during this time. I'm talking about ever since Marvel Studios became a thing back in 2008 and their Marvel film universe. All of the cool movies that we've gotten since then. And ironically enough, there's only been 10 of these films, so I guess technically this is me ranking my least favorite to the best, in my opinion. So let's get this countdown started. Coming in at number 10, Iron Man 3. So I guess technically Iron Man 3 is my least favorite Marvel movie. And it's not because I hate this movie, it's not because I think it's horrible, because I do like it. But I do remember when I saw this in the theater, and I liked the portrayal of the Mandarin character at the beginning when he was this terrorist and this guy who threatened to launch these attacks on us, and I thought, wow, this is different, but this is interesting what they're doing with the character. And then you get to the end, the reveal. And man, was I upset. I just could not believe what I was seeing. And I didn't understand why all of a sudden he was just an actor pretending to be this person. And that pretty much his character was a joke. It was played up for comedy. And I just thought this was such a wasted, missed opportunity for Iron Man's biggest villain in the comic books. Now, so much time later, I guess I can appreciate Ben Kingsley's performance, especially. He is amusing, but still, the action is fun, and I could still get into this film. At number 9, Thor: The Dark World. And this movie, I'm a little surprised how much criticisms I've seen of this film. I mean, I'm not saying it's the greatest. It's number 9 on my list, but I do like things about it. Could the villain be more fleshed out? Could they have done more with his character? Sure. I won't deny that. But you have Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I like the fact that he is this noble warrior, that he's grown into this role. I even like his relationship with Jane Foster, Natalie Portman. She's just a great actress. Some people don't care for the relationship. I don't know, it just doesn't bother me at all. But the best thing, obviously, about this film is Loki. Tom Hiddleston just chews up every scene that he's in. He's so amusing, he's so entertaining, he's so funny, he's so likable. Even at this point, how many films has he been in as a villain? He should be the most unlikable character in the Marvel Universe, but yet I loved him here. I loved that you couldn't tell where his mind was, if he really was starting to come around and at least feel bad for his family that he seemed like he disowned so long ago. At number 8, Iron Man 2. And some people, I think, would say that this is their least favorite Marvel movie, but I don't know, I like this movie. I think it has cool action. You love Robert Downey Jr., obviously, as the Tony Stark character. He probably is the best thing in this film. I really like Don Cheadle, who had to take over for the War Machine character. I even like him more than Terrence Howard. And even the fact that Tony is dying in this movie, I thought was a big thing for him to face and go through. And some people say that their biggest problem is that it feels too much like a commercial for the Avengers. Okay, I guess, but I get into that. It's building towards something. Why wouldn't you want Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury to come in and almost just talk about what's to come? And honestly, I never feel like it gets too much into this story going on. There is a decent story here. You have Mickey Rourke as the villain, Whiplash, who, I don't know, do they drop the ball with him at the end of the movie? Sure. But I like his backstory. I like how he feels like the Stark family has wiped his family, his father, out of their fortunes, and he has this vendetta that he's been building towards and looking for revenge, and how he builds his own arc reactor, which shows his intelligence, and that suit that he creates is so badass. The scene when he comes in and attacks Tony on the racetrack, I really get into his character. Sam Rockwell, how could you not like Sam Rockwell in this film? And Scarlett Johansson makes her first appearance as the Black Widow. Do I need to say any more? At number 7, kind of an underrated Marvel movie, The Incredible Hulk. I think this is the least grossing of the Marvel movies. It made the least amount of money. It's not like it's a failure or a flop or anything, but I don't know, I guess people at the time didn't really care to see a Hulk movie, even though I'm begging for more Hulk movies. And this is where we have Edward Norton as Bruce Banner, and I like Ed Norton. I like the way he plays the character. He's clearly troubled. He's gone through a lot. Him being out on the run from the military and taking this character in different countries and seeing all of that, that was very cool. What happened to Betty Ross and the fact that maybe she's tried to move on, but as soon as he's back in her life, they instantly come back together. Clearly, she is his true love. I always liked that aspect to their relationship. She's never been afraid of this Hulk side. And then you have the Abomination. Holy crap, we finally have a Hulk movie where there is a physical threat for the Hulk. Because you can't say that you're a little sick of the Hulk or Bruce Banner running away from the US military. Fine. But this Abomination as a villain is so hardcore, so badass. And the fight that they have in the middle of the streets at the end of the film is pretty epic. Please make a sequel. Please. Coming in at number 6, Thor. The first Thor movie. Here's a film that I was shocked that they were able to not only make a great Thor movie, but that they could make it work in this universe that they've already set up. Because you had Iron Man. Sure, the Hulk is a little out there, but it is based in science in their world. So you can try to make sense of it. But Thor himself is a god. And you're like, how are they going to make this work? Sure, Loki might come off as a little whiny bitch. But I understand his point. He was lied to. He really didn't know anything about his real past and who he belonged to, the Frost Giants. I also liked, I mean, maybe we didn't get enough of it. That was a complaint. But I also like seeing the other universes that were out there, the other realms, seeing the other creatures that were out there. And I was very much into the humor. Seeing Thor on Earth and him interact with Jane Foster and Darcy and how he didn't really know anything about this world, the costumes, and how to interact with people. And then the S.H.I.E.L.D. involvement in this film, I thought, not only tied everything together, but made it grounded. At number 5, Captain America, the first Avenger. Here's another film that, I mean, it's not like I thought it was going to be bad or anything, but I did wonder how are they going to make this Captain America movie, especially because I knew that it was going to be in this time period, the 40s, and man, did it not disappoint. The characterization of Steve Rogers, I mean, I've talked enough about Chris Evans and how great he is, but even just the characterization of him in this first movie where at the beginning he's the scrawny kid who he's so small, but his heart is the size of the biggest person you know. He's not afraid. He won't back down. He'll stand up for what he wants. He desperately wants to be in the army, which is something to commend. Peggy Carter, who not only do I like their relationship, but I love that her character now has become so important to the story and this universe. She's even getting her own TV show. What does that say? And the Red Skull, it almost sucks that I guess we're not going to ever see at least this version of the Red Skull ever again. But I do like the way he's played up as almost an equal, if not more evil than Hitler himself and his Hydra Nazi army. Very cool stuff. Coming in at number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy. And I feel like I talk about this movie a lot because it just came out this past year. But this movie, it was so awesome. It's technically the Star Wars of this new generation. The fact that it never takes place on Earth, besides at the very beginning. It's a completely out there type of idea, type of premise, but it works. Rocket Raccoon. It's a talking raccoon, and yet everybody bought it. And he's one of my favorite characters in the film. And Zoe Saldana as a green alien is smoking hot. What more can I say about that? At number 3, I'm almost disappointed that I had to put this movie at just number 3 because for the longest time it was my favorite Marvel movie. Iron Man, the first movie. And I think this was my favorite not just because it was the first Marvel movie, but Robert Downey was so charismatic. I just couldn't believe how perfect he was as this character, how he plays Tony Stark as this guy who's full of himself and he takes everything for granted. And then what happens to him at the very beginning, being captured and tortured and getting his heart ripped out of him and being forced to build a weapon, but instead he builds himself a suit and just fights his way out. All of that is so fascinating to watch. And then this drives him to want to do something with his life, to actually make a difference and save people. And that's how he becomes Iron Man. So much of the story I love. Jeff Bridges, some great actors here. Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. I love how she is the love interest, but they play her so differently. Not just because she works with him, but their relationship is so interesting. And they actually don't get together at all, really, in this movie. And not only that, but the ending of this film probably has the most surprising ending to a superhero film. At least something that it almost takes this cliche of a superhero film and turn it completely upside down. Because Robert Downey, Tony Stark, just openly tells the media who he is, that he is Iron Man, and it's the very last shot. So it's one of those like, holy crap, I need to see what happens after that. So very cool, so very awesome. We get to the top 2 now, and I think these 2 films were the hardest to rank. They're so interchangeable, it's almost like on any given day my answer might be different for what's my actual favorites, but we're going to stick with what I have right now. At number 2, Captain America, The Winter Soldier. This film blew a whole lot of movies out of the water. This film is so awesome. I love so much about it. I love how dark it is, how much it is a political thriller. Who expected that? And who expected it to work so well, that the story was so interesting? Scarlett Johansson, Samuel L. Jackson, the Winter Soldier character himself, and the Falcon, Anthony Mackie. Very entertaining. I liked him as a character. I almost don't see him as a sidekick. And then Chris Evans, the guy was born to play Steve Rogers. I don't care that he's been the Human Torch, as much as I liked him as the Human Torch. He's so much better as Steve Rogers. And this film changed the landscape of the Marvel Universe. But I'm sure it's very obvious right now what my favorite all-time Marvel movie is. The Avengers. It was almost hard not to put this as number 1 because not only is it all of my favorite Marvel characters together in one movie for the very first time, but watching this in the theater, if there's such thing as a nerdgasm or as just completely geeking out, that was my experience the whole time throughout this film, and especially because I saw this in the midnight showing, and it was just a whole different experience with other fans of comic books and these movies. They totally got it. They got the humor, and the fact that the Avengers have to come together, it's almost like it's against their will, and the infighting that goes on, they don't get along. All of that was very entertaining, but the end battle especially, you can't really get any better than that. It was a spectacle, and it probably goes on for 45 minutes, if not an hour, of just pure epicness. awesomeness. I remember the very first time that I bought my big screen TV, I said, you know what? I need to watch this end battle in HD, Blu-ray, on this big screen, and it still looked amazing. That's it. That's my top 10 favorite Marvel movies of right now. I know we're about to get an onslaught of more Marvel movies, so I thought that's why I had to make this list now, before it just gets completely ridiculous. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below what are some of your favorite Marvel movies, and what do you think of my list. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Merry Christmas!